Hello. As the t-shirt said, sorry I'm late. I'll blame it on tapping Tobs. As always. Tobs, welcome. How you doing, man? You good?
Not good, no, but I'm in good shape, good spirits, I guess. In fact, no, I'm not in good spirits. I'm just not good. Yeah.
Okay. Let's dig into that in a minute. Kuva, are you well? Are you in good spirits, or are you like Tobs?
Yeah, I had a good rant on Henry Wrights last night, and I felt like I should have kept going for about another 3 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, guys, let's start. The reason I wanted to have this conversation was, look, every day we come on and we debate transfer windows. What will the owners do? What direction are the club going in? And I don't know how you feel, Tobes, but I feel like the fan base now is more fractured than it's ever been. And you think we've seen some awful times in the 90s. We saw some crap times in the early 2000s. But for me, this just feels so fractured. And the strange thing about it is I think everyone thought that the appointment of Conte when it happened was going to do the complete opposite, Tobes, and kind of unite this fan base. And we all had a kind of joint interest into where we were going. What's happened, and what's your perception on all this?
To be fair, I don't think it's like the most fractured. I feel like there were points with Poch. I think with Poch it was quite fractured because of what he meant to a lot of our fans versus the form. Yeah. I think with Jose, what he meant to a lot of football fans in terms of his legacy versus what his performance was, it led to a lot of like divisive pockets within the fan base from what I observed. But I do think this one is like a real like nasty situation because it's sort of like this was meant to be like last chance like the last chance for the ownership, for instance, right? The last chance to try and be ambitious and go for the manager at the top of the pile and try and move away from the culture that they used to operate under in the previous years, right? But what I think has happened now is when Conte got his appointment, everyone's thinking, oh, okay, there's no way you can hire Conte and just do what you're doing before. You have to sort of change tact. You have to sort of buy into Conte. That's the type of manager he is. Yeah. So in my head, I was thinking, okay, this is either going to unite the fan base because one, Conte is a top manager. He's going to come in. He's going to get us playing better than Nuno was. He's going to unite the fan base. And if it goes well, everyone's happy. Spurs are flying. Spurs might win a trophy. If it doesn't go well, then everyone can point the finger at the ownership and say, hey, look, he's tried his best here and you've let him down. I think what skewed things now is Conte has gone the other way to what he did last year. Conte is categorically underperforming at his job and he's failing. He's failing at his job right now. And that is what is skewing the argument here now, because all the energy is misplaced when in reality, everyone is at fault, right? You can't just channel it to just one aspect because, as I said, Conte has underperformed massively in his job. He's getting paid so much money. We did spend, maybe we didn't get every single target he wanted, but we spent enough in the summer for him to be able to conjure up a team that can play better than they did yesterday and in a lot of our games this season. So I genuinely think that's where the situation is right now. People want to not take focus off the ownership, but at the same time don't want to acknowledge how poorly Conte is performing.
Right. I mean, this is the thing, Kuva, isn't it? It almost feels like as a fan base, we've got to the point where if you dare say anything now that isn't purely ENIC and Levy out, that apparently you don't want ENIC and Levy out. But that can't be all we talk about after every single game, after every single week of transfer window. There's got to be more topics that Tottenham fans discuss other than ENIC and Levy out. Because in reality, Kuva, that to get those owners out, that's a process. That's a process that none of us know the outcome to.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if it's even possible to actually get ENIC out, which is unlikely because at the end of the day, it'll be up to them. We can't force that. So for me, you've got to sort of break down which bits do you look at first. And for me, it's forcing Levy to either be in a position where he's forced to resign as chairman, or he gets a vote of no confidence and he's forcibly removed by the rest of the board, or get him to reform. So the reason I stick with Levy out is because I don't think he'll reform. But it's still a possibility on the table. Meanwhile, what can we concentrate on? We can concentrate on at least on voicing our concerns about what we see on the pitch.
Right.
And for me, Conte is not really convincing. Well, he's far from convincing me. The fact now we can all be predicting how a game's going to go before it's played.
Right.
What formation we're going to pick, and how it's going to go in midfield, and what the opposition's going to do. And we're regularly picking it out correctly. Sure, differences in scoreline a little bit, but even those little blips, and I will call them blips, like Crystal Palace away, when you actually look at the game, it was the same as we've been getting for a long time. Terrible performance for the first half, come back in the second half. The only difference was the scoreline, because Palace were bad and didn't score a couple. Otherwise, it was the same as normal. It was the same as the Bournemouth game. Now, where do we draw the line on who to blame? I think Tobs is right. It's a bit of everybody. It's a bit of everything. You've got to look at the whole package. It's all going wrong. I've got no faith in what the manager's doing. I've got absolutely no faith in what the director of football's doing. Yeah. And the director of football has his hands tied by a chairman that doesn't really have a priority on winning anything. Yeah. So it's like almost like the perfect build to not succeed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, Tobes, if we start with the Conte aspect of all this, we can look at the owners in a bit. But if we start with Conte, for me, I'll always caveat and say I didn't believe in 1 second that this guy was going to come in and win things. Not because he's not capable of that, but purely because he won't have the backing that he's used to at the bigger clubs. What I did expect, Tobes, was he'd make us hard to beat, that he'd give us a shape. The word I'm going to try and use, I can never say properly, the rigidity. He's going to make us rigid and tough and, like the smaller clubs. All right, we've not got all the best players, but we've got a formation, we've got a tactic, we stick to it. I just can't see, for the way he keeps getting talked about as one of the best of this generation, I can't see what he's done. I can't see what he's implemented. Am I being harsh there, Tobes, or is it literally now we're seeing a guy that's checked out and he don't really care?
I think it's the latter, man. I think it's the latter, personally, because I did see what he implemented last season. And even at the start of the year, despite the poor performances, the one thing you could say, in my opinion, about Spurs, as flaky as we were, as passive as we would have been in games, we were difficult to beat for a couple of months, in my opinion. Or we were more difficult to beat for a couple of months, right? Yeah. I do think this season, the repetitions in our play are non-existent. The defensive structure in our team isn't there. Yeah. We don't defend as a team well enough, and I think Conte is hampering this team by constantly leaving us short against teams who just give midfield overloads. They just crowd the midfield and they just swarm us, and he sees that happening and he doesn't do anything about it. It's real negligence. And to me, it looks like a guy who didn't get 100% of what he wanted. He got 60%, but we know he needs 100%. But that 60% should be good enough to, at the very least, compete. Even if you can't win every game, at the very least, compete. And we're not even competing. It's like he's just sending our players out with the same message. No matter who we're playing, the same message, the same tactic, the same this, the same that. Right. And now the difference between last season and this season is he's not adapted. He doesn't really cater for the opposition. And in the other side of the camp, teams are catering for us. Teams know how we want to play, and they're making plans. They're setting traps, and they're making it difficult for us to impose our A plan on them. Conte just won't do the same.
Yeah, I mean, Coves, the thing you get back when you bring the points up that Toby just made about being adaptable, about, for me, it's a basic. You look at the team you're playing against, right? If you're Man City, and not right now, but Man City over the last 6 years, Pep plays the way he plays. His team know it. They stick to it, and they've won trophy after trophy doing it. You can't really question it. All right, they're having a dip, and everyone now wants to jump on their back. When you're a team like Tottenham that don't have that, isn't the basics of management that you look at your opposition, like yesterday, and you go, right, Partey and Xhaka are going to control that midfield, and Odegaard's going to be spare. Right, what am I going to do? I'm going to crowd the midfield. I'm going to get a body in there. Doesn't matter if they're brilliant on the ball. Just get a body in there, someone to shadow him. But we didn't. We allowed them to play free in the middle and let Zinchenko and Ben White join in to make it a midfield 5 at times. And we went in with Højbjerg, who can't run, and bless him, I feel sorry for him, Papa Sarr making his first start in the Premier League against Arsenal, against that brilliant midfield. There's got to be accountability for that type of management, hasn't there?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, go on, Tobes.
No, you go.
All right, cheers. It's adapting the circumstances. That's surely got to be a managerial thing. I'm thinking back to when the Tinkerman Ranieri won the title with Leicester. There were times in the season where he was without his star men like Vardy and Mahrez out of the team at one point, injured. Did he stick with the same plan? No. He said on camera before the game, we're missing Vardy, we're missing Mahrez. Mm-hmm. So but that's not a problem. We've got Huth. We've got we've got I've forgotten his name now. The other big fella at the back. They had Wes Morgan.
Yeah.
We've got those two. We can play for the set pieces and see if they can nick a goal for us. And sure enough, what happened in the game? Up pops Huth with a winner in those sort of games. It was just, you've got to be able to adapt to what you've actually got in front of you at times. It's no good just sticking with it. The fact that loads of fans call out this deficiency in midfield and the fact we're going to get overrun and he doesn't do anything about it. It's well and good saying the fullbacks are supposed to be tucking in, but they didn't. Right. And the fact, what I really hated more than anything else in that game was watching the difference between us playing it out from the back and then when they do. When we play it out from the back, it was panicked. It was almost pointless start to the passing build-up, and it ended with a hopeful punt down the wing, hoping somebody can get it, usually ending up with a throw-in or turnover of possession. Yeah. When we try and press them in their half and their defence, they pass it around very calmly, not a problem with anything. Sidestep somebody if they need to. And what do they have at the end of that passing movement? Was a player in the centre circle, quite often, 15 yards of space for one of their defenders to pass to. No problem at all. Where the hell was our midfield? It's because it's overrun, drawn back, trying to cope with all these different players. We needed that extra man in, like hell. I'd have been happy to sacrifice one of the strikers to do that.
No, you got to sacrifice one of the centre backs. So you got to sacrifice one of the centre backs. For the majority of the game, we had 3 centre backs just watching this unfold.
Yeah,
3 centre backs just sat there, just watching this unfold. You're seeing. Listen, Højbjerg had a shocking game, and his level since the return of the Premier League has been disgraceful and needs to be dropped. But Conte won't drop him. But again, like Savva alluded to at the start, I kind of feel sorry for Højbjerg and Sarr in these games because they're facing an uphill struggle. You're up against a midfield who have three midfielders, then plus Zinchenko, making it 4 guys who are highly. We're not even just talking about average on the ball. They're experts on the ball. They are experts at moving this ball quick, especially Thomas Partey, especially Zinchenko. And you're expecting 2 men to basically fill this space and off the ball create such a pressing sequence that will force them into errors. It's not going to work. We've seen managers that are inferior to Conte play their desired tactic. No, play their desired formation, but within that formation, cater for the opposition. I saw Newcastle play. They played a 4-3-3. They played a 4-3-3 initially at the Emirates, and once they saw that they were getting carved apart in 15 minutes, he changed it to a 4-5-1. He had them double up on Saka and Martinelli out wide, and he didn't let Odegaard get any sort of breathing room on the ball. I've seen Pep Guardiola go to Anfield and tweak things. Even if you want to play a two-man midfield, allegedly, I've seen this same Conte go to the Etihad and Anfield and make a plan for midfielders or a midfield trio that were just as effective as Arsenal's midfield this season. I remember against Man City, we had Kulusevski tucking into the midfield to form a three when we were off the ball. Now, whenever we play these games, it feels like he's showing no respect to the opposition and just expecting that his tried and trusted tactic is just going to work. And clearly it's not working.
I can't agree more. I think the key thing for me, and something we've talked about quite a lot, Hoover, is I look, when I say this, fans will automatically say, oh, well, we're above these clubs. But I look at what Brentford are doing with their squad, right, that is built off of peanuts. They've built it like their squad is worth like £40 million or something ridiculous, right? I don't know. Anyway, you look at what Fulham are doing, who have just come up from the Championship with a Championship back four. No, not disrespecting any of those players. They've done brilliantly. But you look at them, you look at Brighton, these clubs who have these transfer windows, which are like 30, 40 million a transfer window, buying in players on frees, on 2 million, 5 million. But their managers get them into a cohesive unit, right? That they're hard to beat. I'm not saying they're all going to play free-flowing, lovely attacking football, but they're hard to beat. They don't concede many goals, and they look a unit. Conte, I'm told, is this world-class manager, but yet can't get players that, let's be fair, are better than what these clubs have got. Because if I turn around, Coover, and said to you in the summer, Spurs are buying Fulham's back four, what would everyone have said?
The Spurs are buying Fulham's back four.
Fulham's back four?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd say it's not good enough.
Right, it's not good enough. Brentford's back four.
You'd say it's not good enough. Apart from Rico Henry, maybe.
Ben Mee was on a free, right? This is the thing, right? So all of these players that we're being told,
I'd have taken Ben Mee all day long.
Nah,
I agree. But you know our fan base,
what we got though.
This for me, Coover, this is my point, is how are those managers able to work day in, day out on the training ground, make their team look compact and cohesive without the likes of Son, Kane and Kulusevski as an outlet to get you 50, 60 goals a year? But yet you watch a Conte team and go, what are we doing? Like, how do they do it and he can't, but he's world class?
That's it. That's the criticism I've got. If he needs these world class players to play coherent football, perhaps there's something lacking from his skill set. I mean, he can carry on with the rest of his career managing at high end clubs and doing well. He probably will, but he can't adapt to us being at a lower level. I think we just need one of these managers that come in that's a sort of a motivator, that's got a little bit of it allows a little bit of expression, freedom of football, try and get a smile back on the likes of Sonny's face because we're allowed to play some football rather than stay in these rigid sort of rule sets that are being dished out. It's obviously it's going to be more than that. It's not just completely simplistic, but you'd expect to at least be trying something a little different rather than seeing it's failing and it keeps failing and keep doing it and expect different results. It's
so you're describing a Harry Redknapp type character, right? Someone who comes in, doesn't overcomplicate it, isn't going to give a million different drills on what to do, lets the players go and play, but is a man manager that the kind of tap on the bum before they go out. Go on, son, you go and do your job. Let everyone else worry about theirs. Is that the guy we're kind of talking about here for this club?
Yeah, I think so. Just lower the expectations first of all. That we have got a crappy squad. There's no doubt about it. It's fine making the excuse that Conte's not got the players to do anything. I totally agree. He's not got the players to get any success.
Sure.
But I don't think he's got a squad that's so bad that we can put out performances like that first half or like that 90 minutes against Villa or worst ones of the lot. Away at Forest, oh my God, in the Cup. That's probably one of the worst performances of all time I've seen.
Just quickly, Lee, if that is Lee Gunner, as in Lee Gunner,
it is him. It is him.
It is, mate. Listen, if you're free, jump on. I'll chuck you the link. You can let us know what you thought of Conte's wonderful tactics. Sorry, Kuva.
No, it's cool. I'm done at that point. It's just why can't we do something different?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, Tobes. I've said for ages, I think the reality of what we are versus the expectation of the fans of what we are is wildly different, right? And it was easier for me to get the top managers in Jose and Conte and say, right, we'll pay them 20 million a year rather than actually do what's needed on the pitch. But in fans' minds, they've gone, oh, Conte's here now. We're going to win things. And in my mind, it's the same reason why you wouldn't bring Pep. You wouldn't bring Pep either, would you? Why would you? He's not going to win anything here. No point having him. But if you say that about Conte, Tobes, if I say there's no point Conte being here, it's like all hell breaks loose.
Nah, yeah. Listen, that Conte, for the way the club used to operate in the past, Conte was not a good fit, right? And everyone knew this. It's the same way Jose, and you know how much I think Conte is a way better manager than Jose, but the same reason they draw parallels in the sense where they're guys who need the club to buy into their vision completely and give them everything they need, right? So for me, getting in Conte may have been a poor fit in comparison to how the club were operating before, but that to me signaled that the club were looking to try and shift their mode of operations from being a team who buys cheap young players who may or may not bang to a team who start buying players who can hit the ground running and relatively quickly. What we've seen is somewhere in the middle. We've seen some good players come in. We've seen some good players come in, some young, some mid-20s, some one or two older. But we've also seen some not so good players retained at the club, and we've seen A-grade targets that the club have sounded out not signed. So I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do anymore as a Spurs fan. I don't know. I don't have the answers because I'm just tired of it all, honestly. Like when Conte goes, what am I actually looking forward to? I don't know. What am I expecting to see? I don't know. Do I trust this team to get a manager that can propel us? Maybe. Do I trust this team to then make that manager competitive? No. Do I trust this team to help us refresh the team and make it a team that's hungry and has got starting caliber players in every position? No. Do I trust this team to then replace the players that have put this club on their back for years, like Harry Kane, like Son? The answer is no. So I just, honestly, I don't know what more to say here. I really don't. I know we're speaking on Conte, and he definitely deserves his criticism. Right now, it's looking like a crossroads for him. If they're not going to back him, sorry, I'm going to finish here. If they're not going to back him or give him what he wants, then just walk. You're just wasting your time here because clearly you're not doing the job well enough. You're failing at your job now, and for whatever reason, you don't want to sign a new deal. And they're not going to commit to you if you don't sign a new deal. But you don't want to sign a new deal because you don't want to commit to the club. So it's a standoff, and the only people that are suffering here are the fans.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the big thing for me, Kuva, in all of this is I keep hearing back Conte. Like fans, they're telling us back Conte, back Conte. For me, it's not about me backing Conte. It's not about you or Tobes backing Conte. What we choose to believe is absolutely irrelevant. If they don't back him, we're just absolutely where we were when he came in. And what we are seeing is this isn't a manager that is going to get the best out of mediocre players. And that's not a criticism. He works with elite, right? I said earlier, I'm not going to, I don't hire Lewis Hamilton to drive a Volkswagen. I hire him to drive a Formula One car. But we've hired Antonio Conte, given him these limited tools and said, go on, mate, go and do your best. And now fans are surprised when it's not worked out. Are we just in complete denial all the time as fans?
I've definitely been in denial sometimes. I'll be real. I've been in denial with so many players. I've given the club the benefit of the doubt so many times, thinking, "Oh, it's going to change. Oh, maybe they're shifting." I'll admit it, I've been in denial about a couple of things, but yeah, I still think ultimately
you always come back around, Tobes. You get there in the end.
Yeah, I get there in the end, but I still think these guys have just taken us for mugs. And when I say these guys, I don't just mean the club. I mean Conte as well. Right now, I think he's taking me for a mug.
Yeah, I've got to agree. There's a point where you've got to say, right, if Conte isn't managing to get these players to perform, especially the defence, then either he's incapable of getting them to, or they're incapable of living up to what the standards he wants.
Yeah.
Either way, the one thing Conte cannot get away with is just staying there and saying the defence is fine. Right. One way or another, something has to change there dramatically, and I'm not seeing it. If that's the case, that it's down to Paratici and Levy getting the transfers in, and Conte's got very little to do with it, which I believe, then Conte's going to say, well, sort yourselves out. I need this, I need that, make demands. Otherwise, I'm out of here because you're making me look like a mug now.
Yeah.
That's not happening either. The only clue we're getting really is still no contract being signed by Conte so far. It's the only sort of indicator we definitely have of how much Conte is prepared to put up with. Because if he does sign a new contract, that's it. It's all on him then. If he doesn't, there's still a case for saying it's not on him. It really is Levy and the Paratici not supplying the tools.
But this is the thing, Kuva, right? Is, I take exception to it. When I'm told, Savva, you've got to get behind Conte, I take a step back and go, oh, hang on. This guy's currently leaving our club in May. Right? What is it I'm backing? I'm backing at the moment, I'm backing an interim manager. By all intents and purposes, guys, right? He is interim for 4 more months. And I don't know what I meant to back exactly, but Kuva, you are bang on there. We've said this for ages, right? Tobes, I don't know how you feel about this, but the moment, I don't think he will. Let's live in a hypothetical world. The moment he signs a new contract, all of this goes out the window. And none of this then we can no longer then go, oh, well, he's not being backed. It's not his fault, because he knows what he's signing into. He knows now. He's seen how we operate. If he chooses to sign a contract and we still keep buying the way we've been buying, I've got no empathy or sympathy for anyone who does that.
100%. You've made your bed. Similar to Enoch and us asking them to back. Or I say back because he has been back to a certain extent, just not 100%, right? But similar to how we're saying, oh, Enoch needs to do the necessary and get Conte the players that he needs in these crucial positions in the defensive areas, it will be the same thing we'll say to him if he signs a new contract. You've made your bed, you lie in it. It's that simple. Right. When Conte wasn't happy at the speed in which the club were moving for players and stuff like that, he made his opinions felt. He said things publicly, and I'm sure he's saying these same things behind the scenes. But for you to then say all this, sign a new deal, and nothing changes, then I think you got to hold him accountable. You have to hold him accountable. Why would you sign into an environment that you don't trust?
Agree. Even if you use the argument that he is getting backed. You look at it. What's being backed in that particular instance? Look at how many players have improved the first team in this summer transfer window. It's a lot of players beefing up their reserve squad, but actually improving the first 11. Very few. Big up, Lee. We look overall, and you say, back Conte's definitely coming through. And then the evidence is there time and time again that we don't back any manager. And yet people will still say, oh, but it's different this time. We've got a world-class manager this time. I've heard all this before with Mourinho.
Yeah.
What is the point? Expecting the same different results with doing the same things over and over. It's that insanity argument again. But that's the way it is. And you get told, if you speak your mind and say this is bullshit, which it is, you get told, you're not a proper fan, or you're delusional, Yeah, look who I'm talking to here with Lee. He's been through it all the time with Arsenal as well. And there's so many comparisons to be had with what's happened over the last decade or so. Spurs, Arsenal, it seemed to be trading places with bragging rights, but never going any further. I'd argue both clubs have actually had a period of sustained bullshit. Should be doing a lot better. There we go.
Yeah, Lee, I'll come to you in 1 second. I just want to quickly show you. This is what Fabrizio Romano's just tweeted 7 minutes ago. Apologies for the sign up bit. I'm not on Instagram or Twitter or any of that good stuff. This, if anything ever summed up Tottenham, Lee, from an Arsenal point of view, do you read this and laugh at our club? And what I mean by that is, I mean, we're talking about £36 million, right? If this is the guy we want, they've made it clear £36 million is yours. And yet we're trying to negotiate someone's release clause 3 weeks into a window when there's 2 weeks left of the window. How do you, I mean, I think it's disgraceful. What do you think from an Arsenal fan point of view? And welcome.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it, man. And I'm not here to rub salt into the wounds. Don't worry. Your club's very, very similar to ours in transfers. You try haggling like in a market that nowadays you can't haggle. Like if you want the player, just pay it. Everyone's got money these days. So, we see that with the Mudryk deal. We've been chasing a guy for 7 months, had contact with the guy for 7 months and his agent. We've known the price, and then we put in 3 bids lower than the price. Chelsea come in and went, bang, there's the money. And now our fans are sitting online saying, oh, he's a snake, he's a disgrace, he's chose Chelsea over it. Well, no, we didn't bid the money, so he only had Chelsea to choose. Right. Yeah, and your club's exactly the same. Your club does this every window, the same as ours. We did it with Thomas Partey, tracking him all summer when we signed him. We knew his release clause was 45 mil, 50 mil, whatever it was. And then on deadline day, our technical director looks like a genius because he's pulled it off. And it's like, come on, we knew the price. We could have had him play 3 or 4 games before we got him in if we had got him in the beginning. And you obviously want the guy. I don't know whether it's Conte that wants him or whether it's your board that want him. Maybe both. But if you want him that badly, pay the money, because if you don't, all you're doing is what Edu did in that Mudryk deal. Yeah, you're basically being the intermediary for another club. That's all that's what you are. You're doing all the groundwork. You're putting in all the hard work. Yeah, and then another club will come in and say, right, we'll have him. Yeah, maybe a West Ham, maybe a Palace. Anybody can come in. Even we might come in. Who knows? But this is the thing that I wanted to say about Spurs. Right, you need to figure out what you are as a football club and where you want to go as a fan base and as an ownership. Because your fans, from what I see, are just like they're happy with attractive football, and that's it. Like when Poch was there, it was we're in Champions League. Fair enough, you got to the final, and well done for that. But you're just happy watching good football and being the nearly team, which is what we were under Wenger for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years of him. And we've only just started getting back up to maybe not being the nearly team. Yes, we won a few cups along the way, but for my club, it's all about compete for a title. That's how I see it, regardless who the manager is. And listen, we're doing that at the minute. I can't say a bad word against anything at the minute because they're doing what I want. Yeah. For you, like your fans are still turn up and pay 90 quid a ticket. It was probably more than that yesterday. I don't know how much you paid, Tobe, but it was probably at least 90 quid. I know from going to North London derbies at the Emirates that it's about 90 quid, 100 quid, 120, depending on where you sit. I mean, they're just taking everyone's pants down. Let's be real with it. And Tottenham are doing it worse than anyone because you don't compete for anything. You don't win anything. It's not like you're getting an FA Cup here or a League Cup there or anything. And then they're putting the prices up. They're getting absolute millions in other revenue for NFL and concerts and boxing and stuff like that. All now show that on the pitch. And then your fans go, well, yeah, we've all got the ump and that. But then nothing changes. And it's your fans and the board. And we've had this with the Cronkies. If the Cronkies are selling a bottle of water for 2 quid, and I don't know, you go to that shop every day and buy that bottle of water for 2 quid, but every other day it tastes like rubbish, but you still go back and buy it. Then you go into a new year and it goes up to 3 quid and it's exactly the same. Some days good, some days bad. Then it goes up to 5 quid and you're still going there and paying for it. Who's the at fault here? Is it the person buying it or the shopkeeper? It's the person buying it. Yeah, because you have a choice. You can say, I ain't going. But then I understand people who say, but if I've got a ticket, I want to watch it. Cool. Well, do your bit. Yeah, say I'm making a stand. I ain't going. Yeah, and I get it. It's hard. It is hard. Yeah, I understand that. But you will not see change at your football club until you literally stick it on them. Yeah, and the last time you tried to do a protest, there was Ed Sheeran outside the ground with a banjo and somebody holding up a club shop bag. Right? I mean, come on. Like, if you're going to protest, do it en masse. Walk out the stadium at a certain point. Do something.
I mean, I think this is the issue, isn't it? I mean, Tobes, are you a season ticket holder, or you just buy tickets when you need to, or?
I'm a season ticket holder.
Yeah. So from your perspective, this is a conversation that lots of fans are having, right? Like, so you've got some people saying, look, the only way that you're going to get ENIC to either change the way they are or sell up is if it hurts them financially. Problem is, season ticket holders obviously pay up front at the beginning of the season. There's somebody was saying this morning, there's 100,000 people waiting list for tickets. So even if those season ticket holders and people that go regularly don't take the ticket, someone's buying that. Normally the South Koreans that have come to see Heung-Min Son are queuing up and buying God knows what out of the club shop. So how does this actually change, Tobes? How do we hurt them in the pocket when they're just creaming money off of fans left, right and centre? What makes them want to sell?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm trying to look at examples of teams who have managed to get their clubs in positions to sell, like Man United. I think Man United are open to selling now, but Man United did protest. Maybe their protests were a bit more impactful, but they're still packing out Old Trafford. Old Trafford is packed week to week.
Yep.
Chelsea obviously sold their club, but they didn't sell because of issues with the owner. So genuinely, I don't really have an answer, because I don't think I've seen any club be able to actually successfully oust their ownership in modern times. I don't think I've seen that. Maybe Liverpool before FSG, maybe. But honestly, I don't know the answer. Like, even using myself as an example, like, there are certain games for me where it's like, I just ask myself, like, why am I actually here? Like, why am I bothering going to the games? But someone like me, like, I literally, when I was growing up, I didn't have an opportunity to get a season ticket. So for me, I was like, as soon as I get my own money, I'm going to go to as many Spurs games as I can. So for me, it's very hard for me to sort of detach myself away from that. And I just feel like now we're in a position where it's going to be near on impossible to try and get these guys out, just because of the money that's involved.
Yeah.
The money that's at stake. I don't think protests or whatever is gonna get these guys out, and I don't actually have a solution for what we can do to make it really toxic for them. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Kuva, have we hit the point? I'm going to come to you in a minute, Lee, about the game yesterday, but have we hit a point, Kuva, where they've been here 22 years now, and they've done what they needed to? Like, I'm not saying they'll go, but they've done what they needed to do to build an empire. We've sat by for 22 years, and we've watched them give us the best training ground in the world, which fans seem to really like, even though none of us have ever stepped foot inside it and never will. Why would we? They cream their pants over a stadium that is going to make the owners billions when they sell up. They've built golf courses. They've built hotels, casinos. They've done this, that, the other, regenerated the area. We've let them. I said we've let them. As a fan base, we've kind of sat and watched as they've built this fucking property empire. And now everyone's going, right, let's protest and get them out. But why are they selling? Why on earth? Daniel Levy don't care if we boo him. Does that look like the face of a man who cares about football? Okay. That's a man going, I bought this club for 22 million. I'm selling it for 4 or 5 billion in a few years. Why is he going to walk away? Because a few fans go, boo, get out.
Even more worrying is the idea that he might not be looking to sell at all. Because they'll be making a pretty penny off all those investments off the field. Northumberland's development project and stuff. Gentrification of North London, there's going to be a load of money in that. They'll want a big bite of that with Tottenham as their advertising suite. I'm not of the opinion that the Levy out has to be about getting ENIC out. It'll be good, But there are alternatives, and I keep saying the same one. My idea is to make it so toxic in and outside the ground, and this is by means of sacking the manager or forcing or forcing the manager, forcing Levy's hand and being forced to either sack him or the manager walks out. And I'm talking specifically Conte now. This transfer window, prime time to do it at this end of this window. If there's no backing of Conte and he just walks out, fans start pointing Levy saying, "What the hell is going on at this club?" Mm-hmm. Then take it into the ground, poor performance or two, shouting at Levy, and you'd say, "Oh, the protests don't do anything." They will if you catch it on a day when Levy's got his little VIP corporate sponsors coming into the ground, about to invest several hundred million, and then what's all this Daniel Levy out stuff going on? I'm not. You know what? I'm not too sure you're ready for my investment right there. Then
will that movement have enough people? So let's just say, you know, you've got this army of people who are Levy out there chanting. Will it be a minority to the point where it's like, oh, there's just a few disgruntled people?
So, it's a minority to start with. It was when we got the chant going to get Nuno out. It was just a few people started. Initially, the chants were about Nuno out. Then a few people started chanting Levy out, and it caught on. And then he heard it, and he was rocked for the first time because he actually heard it. So it can be done. We got proof it can be done. And to say that a few people protesting outside the gates doesn't matter, it does. There only have to be a few.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter.
No, I'm not.
I just wonder.
Just the impact.
Consensus that it does nothing.
Yeah. I just wonder if there'd be. I only wonder what that would look like.
You only need that figurehead there, that one screenshot of it, and then put that on Twitter with a Levy out message, and it just spreads like wildfire. Last time it got on Sky News, onto Sky Sports News. It got into Graham Souness writing a piece in one of the national newspapers about it. It was there. It can be done. So if you catch it at the right time, and there's enough discontent in the club, then that protest goes up, and it's heard by the people that Levy is trying to impress, and they withdraw their funding because they're unsure. Then things might change. Then you can't force Enoch out. Maybe you can't force Levy out. He might get a vote of no confidence, and they'll have to change chairman. That's a possibility. Oh, sorry, just finish off this little bit.
Yeah.
But then the most important bit is that no matter what, if it's embarrassed him to that point, he might think, you know what, perhaps I better do something a little bit different here and start listening to what the fans want. If we get that, at least there's a hope for some sort of meaningful change in the club. But if we sit and do nothing, say nothing.
You know what? Can I just jump in and say, right, I was on protests as well. Yeah, and you're spot on. I was on protests to get Wenger out of the club. Yeah, and that started off as fans wanting to beat each other up in the ground. They did. Like, fans were punching each other up every week in the last few years of Wenger. And then it started off with, right, let's have a protest outside the ground. And it started off with a few hundred, then it went up to maybe 1,000. Yeah, I think the maximum was maybe 1,500 of us all marching down the Hornsey Road and that. And fans voted with their feet in the end. And I remember just before he was announced that he was leaving, we all know he got sacked. He got told, you're leaving or we're sacking you. Right, and we'll give you a little payoff and blah, 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 which is why he's so salty about coming back for his unveiling of his statue outside the ground that's coming up. Yeah, which is why he's never been back until the other day against Newcastle, I think it was, or the game before that. I can't remember. Maybe West Ham or Brighton, one of them. And he hasn't been back since. But I remember we played Manchester City and it was freezing cold in 2017-18. We just lost the League Cup final to them. And 4 days later, on a Thursday, we played them, right? And we went 2-0 down in 20 minutes. There was 20,000 people in that ground. It's a 60,000-seater stadium. There was 20,000 in there. It was freezing, like literally minus 10. There was a guy in front of me, and he couldn't stand me because all he used to hear was, get him out. And he was a massive Wengerian, your disrespect, older guy. And he started walking out when David Silva scored the second goal after 20 minutes or whatever it was. Then he went, they're bloody rubbish. I said, where are you going, mate? I said, where are you going? I said, come and back your man. You've been telling me for years, back Wenger. Look what he's done for the club. I said, have a look round, mate. I said, and even you're deserting him. Now you know it's finished. Yeah, and then literally about a week or two later, it was announced he was leaving because that stadium, 10,000 people walked out that night and it left 10,000 in the ground. And that is what Spurs have to do. If you want to get change, upstairs somewhere, the only way is to vote with your feet. The problem you've got, right, and the problem all big football clubs have now is literally probably less than 1% of the fans on match day make up your global fan base. So when they're getting merch sent out to America, Indonesia, South Korea, Australia, and all these other places, the club are just like, cheers, mate. They've already got the sponsorship deal in. And anyone who gets a name and number on the back of their shirt, that goes directly to the football club. The shirt, I think they get about 5% of the value of it. If you get a name and number printed on, the club get every penny of that. So when we sign a new player, or you sign a new player, all of that money goes straight to them, right? And it's all well and good having a global fan base, and it is good because you can sign more, you can get more income, investment, etc., etc. But it makes it harder to get managers and board members and ownerships out the ground. Yeah, but if you vote with your feet and you've got a 62,000 seater shiny new stadium that looks amazing, by the way, I've never been, but it looks unbelievable. Right, but if you start voting with your feet and that's 1/4 full, and then you go 2-0 down and walk out, all of a sudden you've got 10,000, 15,000 people sat in your ground or whatever, and you've walked out and it's on a Super Sunday game, and it's a big game against us, against Man City, against Man United, Chelsea, whoever it may be, and you all just go, bollocks, we're walking out, see you later. That is now beamed all around the world.
Because but you know, the problem is, Lee, I completely agree with you, right? I'm someone, I won't pay to watch Spurs anymore under these owners. I don't want to put any money in their coffers. So again, I'm relying on people within the ground that want him out. The problem for me is, and Tobes, you might know more about this, you go week in, week out. Are there enough fans to stage a walkout? So I know obviously we talk about it on YouTube and lots of people we know, and that, do you think there's enough thousands of people for it to be really impactful?
I do. I actually do. I do. And I think maybe the energy has not been aligned across our fan base, because there's always been people who are on the fence and still have like a different perspective on where the club is going. But I think now with what's going on, the inevitable, once Conte leaves or gets sacked or whatever, I think you'll find a lot of people unified, and you'll find that they're more willing than they were before to do something like that. I can tell you, I already know, like most of my mates, they'll do that straight. Yeah. There's one of my friends who specifically has said this season he's not doing it anymore. Like he's not going to games anymore. And if he does, it's maybe the odd away game here or there, but he just don't want to do it.
Stay out.
Yeah.
There was something Lee said that so strikes a chord with me, and we're saying that early on when the sort of Wenger out movement, it was getting to the point where every week there was punch ups in the stands. And I've been hearing there's a few starting to happen in the Spurs games now. If that's the case, perhaps we're on the right track. Perhaps that's what it takes. It needs that toxic atmosphere where they're fighting. Yeah, people are literally that pissed off that they'll fight in the stands each week. If that carries on, that toxic atmosphere carries on. Perhaps this
because that gets reported as well, and that goes around social media. Somebody will be filming it, it'll be caught on the cameras. But you know what's funny? Is we've got to a stage now where we are doing well under Arteta. We're 8 points clear. We're flying this season. I don't think anyone could have seen that coming this season.
Sure.
Yeah, but do you know what's funny is like people are sitting here now in our fan base going, "Oh yeah, you know, look at this. You're in the mud and all of that." And it's like, mate, I was protesting when we finished second to Leicester. Come on. Yeah,
this is what you've wanted, basically.
Yeah, this is what I've wanted, right? And these very people that are telling me I'm in the mud with Arsenal were the same people that kept Wenger in the job for way too long. Yeah, and it's like, well, if you just listened to everyone back then that was marching and protesting, we might have had this about 10 years ago or 5 years ago or what. But listen, I'm loving life at the minute, man. We're playing great, and yeah, it is what it is. But for you lot to get change, you need to empty that stadium real quick, whether it's a planned walkout, whether you're winning or not. I remember Liverpool did that against, I think it was Sunderland, because they were putting the prices up to 77 quid a ticket. Yeah, and on the 77th minute against Sunderland, they walked out the ground. They were winning 2-0, and they ended up drawing. By the time they'd all filtered out the ground, it was 2-2. Yeah, no, and that just shows the impact because that's now beamed everywhere, and they were winning the game and they still walked out. You've got to grow a backbone as a fan base. If you want to change your owner or directors, you've got to walk out, man.
It's like that fan at the end of the game yesterday. I think we all really don't condone that behaviour where the Tottenham fan jumped over and kicked.
He's a muppet for that. I don't know why I did that.
But that energy, right? That angry energy shouldn't be pointed at the Arsenal goalkeeper or the Arsenal team. That energy is what should be going inwards towards our own club. And this is what I mean. I really do question if somebody said, right, 1st of March, I don't know if we're playing, but 1st of March, we're all going to do this thing. We're all going to go into the game and we're all going to leave on the 22nd minute for them being here for 22 years and not go back. I wonder how many people would actively join in, because I think something like that is needed to make a point for a few games in a row. I just too many people I see that really don't think that the owners have done a bad job. They really think that
they've been sold the dream, Savva, which is what we got sold. Move to the Emirates, you'll compete with Europe's elite. Moving to the Emirates was for a number of reasons. Number one, to the globalization of world football, right, or of football, sorry, right, and number two, for the Super League. That's it. Yeah, that's the only reason we moved to that stadium. We were the best team in the world when we were at that stadium. 2002 to 2004, we were one of the best, if not the best on the planet. Yes, we didn't win the Champions League. I get all of that. Cool. But we were up there fighting. And since we've been in that stadium, we've been an absolute shambles. Like, real talk. And people are accepting of it because it's a process. That's the buzzword. Then it's a project. Oh, but no, we've built the stadium. Give it a chance. Look at what he's done for the club. Look at the direction we're going in. And then all of a sudden, you then waste 10 years because you listen to all that and you're up and down, like a snake or a worm or a roller coaster, whatever. Yeah, and you'll have some good moments. You'll get a Champions League final. You'll get a cup final here and there. You'll get a semi. And it's okay, let's give him money and go again. Now you wasted another year. Then another year.
I'll never get a semi watching Spurs. No.
never. So, Lee, let me ask you a question, Lee. So from when Tottenham hired Antonio Conte, I'd love to know what your immediate reaction was then versus now 15, 16 months later, what you witnessed yesterday on the pitch versus you lot, and the difference in what's happened in the two clubs in that time.
First off, I was fuming because I rate him. But having said that, you have to back him. Like, you went and bought Jed Spence. He didn't want Jed Spence. He probably wanted 37-year-old Ashley Young, who, by the way, won a title with him at Inter.
Yeah.
Who's doing very well at Aston Villa, by the way. Yeah,
he was man of the match the other week against us.
He's still quality, man. Like, he'll do something. He's not all singing, all dancing, but he's a steady Eddie. Like, yeah, but Tobes, you say that, but is Royale any good? No. Is Doherty any good?
Shit. But Lee, I remember we spoke after the North London derby, and I remember you came on my channel, and I told you, and this is coming from me, Conte enthusiast, and I told you, I spoke to you about the mistakes Conte made in that game, and then you would say, no, but what about this player? What about that player? I told you that this guy, in several games this season, he's just not doing enough as a manager. He's just not.
Oh, I agree. I 100% agree. But having said that, bro, give him what he wants. He wanted a Perisic type player. He got a Perisic. Yeah. Now give him that on the right. Yeah. Look at what he did with Inter Milan. Look at what he's done with other clubs. He had Victor Moses at right wing back against us in a cup final. Like, come on. Like, they're not the sexy names that everybody wants, but he doesn't do that. That's not his profile. He will go and say, give me a 37-year-old or a 34-year-old or a 35-year-old, been there, done it, won it, seen it, got the T-shirt. Yeah, you could do a lot worse. And I'm not taking the piss either. You could do a lot worse than Ashley Young at right back, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're doing that.
I'd take him one compared to what we got at the moment.
That you've got at your club right now, Ashley Young walks into your starting 11. And that ain't even mugging you off. That's actually genuinely serious. Yeah, but looking at Conte now, he's got a team that's just, it looks like it can't be asked. It looks like he can't be asked. He's got, 5 months left in his contract? He don't want to be there, mate.
This has just popped up on a Sky Sports news alert, right? I don't know if you guys can see that. Does Conte need to change Spurs tactics? And then somebody's quoted saying you can't see any plan. So, Lee, from your point of view as an Arsenal fan, from what you saw yesterday versus what you guys did you see anything that he's done, that he's implemented, or or any kind of ethos or tactics since he's been here? Or did we just look like a shambles to you?
Like a shambles, if I'm honest. But having said
be
that,
honest,
but having said that, we look like a shambles. How long has he been there? Like, we didn't look like a shambles yesterday. Until this season, I was still calling this manager out. Yeah, nobody's heard me call him out this season. Why? Because he's now doing what I want him to do. Yeah, he's winning football matches. We're dictating football matches. We have a set style of play. Maybe that's because he's got better players, so he looks better now. Yeah, obviously, better players in the team, obviously, going to look better. Yeah, but at the same time, bro, look at last season, we were 4 points clear of you lot with 3 games to play and bottled it. Yeah, nobody can sit there and tell me we played great football last season because we didn't.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell me the year before when we finished 8th and 8th, we played good.
But then how did that switch? Like, you think if we go back to May, this is my whole point with some Spurs fans now, right? Is you go back to May, we finished, was it 1 point or 2 points above you in the end? I think it was like 1 point maybe, right? Yeah, you weren't playing great football. We were playing okay football towards the end of last season. You've bought in, let's be fair, of the signings you've made, you've not gone out and bought world class. You've bought in Zinchenko, who's a really good player, bit pot player at City, but he's a winner by nature now. Same with Jesus. Both of them, I'd love to see how many times they've both started a league game together, if I'm honest. I'd love to see that stat.
And the biggest difference for us is Saliba.
For sure.
Saliba.
But he was already your player, right?
We had Ben White. But he'd never played under Arteta. We had Ben White at centre back. The guy can't defend. But a right back, bro, the guy is unbelievable. Yeah. Like, honestly, I mugged him off all last season at centre back because he can't defend. Now you've put Saliba in there with Gabriel, and Gabriel has been our best defender in away games all season. Yeah, he's been a bit iffy at home every now and again, but then Saliba's been a bit iffy as well in certain games. But they've not been iffy together, apart from Man United, where we were playing a stupidly high line. But other than that, one has a bad game, the other one's exceptional. Yeah, and it's always like that. So we've always got that. Then when you've got Ben White and Zinchenko or Tierney playing decent football as well, that allows, Zinchenko's coming inverted anyway, which is now allowing Xhaka to play like a number 10. And it's like totally changed our game. Yeah, and listen, he's doing exactly what Pep's done for the last X amount of years at Man City. Inverted fullbacks. Yeah, nobody's cottoned on how to play against us yet. And we just blow teams away real quick. Yeah, I'm loving it, mate. Like, this is all I've wanted for 18 years.
Just quickly, Tobes, I know you need to shoot off for some work reasons. Any last thing you want to say before you jump off, mate?
No, not really.
Spurs are broken, man.
Defeated, man. Defeated.
Yeah, and I got the Big Six later as well, so that should be fun. So
I can't wait for that. I'm tuning in.
Yeah.
I'm going to be tuning in for that.
I can't even mug these off this week because they won.
Yeah, I know. I've got to go for Liverpool.
I very quickly, I said Welbeck, Salah. I'm standing by that, by the way. I'm standing by that. Welbeck's always. And if you ask Grizz on the Big Six, real talk, ask him, say, would you take Welbeck in your team right now? Real talk, because they need a Welbeck in their team. Somebody with a bit of fight.
Good luck, Tobes. Good luck in that show.
Cheers.
See you later.
Yeah.
Cheers, Tobes.
I mean, Kova, when we look at it yesterday, it really was men v boys in that first half, wasn't it? And second half, it was almost like I felt that Arsenal came out, had the cigars on, and just did enough to see out the game. I didn't think that to worry. They had Romero. I mean, Romero should have gone, but they targeted Romero. You could see they were all pulling onto him, knowing that he'd do something stupid. I just can't believe the difference in the two clubs, Kuva, since May. It's just been crazy.
Well, I remember having a conversation with Stell at the end of last season. People saying about Arsenal, no, they're no threat next season whatsoever. And we were saying, hang on, if you actually look at some of the games last season, even the first 25 minutes against us at White Hart Lane, you could see that was a team that was starting to play some football. The hints were there. And Arsenal was knocking over a few teams with scoring a shitload of goals in a couple of the games. You know, absolutely spanking teams. And you thought, they're onto something there. And then we were talking about what do they really need? They've got to strengthen that up, get a bit of spine into the team. So when they do come up against it, experience at the end of the day. Those experiences from last season, they seem to have learned from it. coming to our place and getting beaten just because we score on the against the run of play, and then they crumbled. This season, we were saying that's not going to happen this time. This is a different Arsenal team. It's a different animal. All they did was just those couple of little additions, and it just slotted into place with the extra experience that's gone to the team. Yeah. You could see it. I know Lee couldn't because I know, same as I am, really demanding about our own teams. I think it's bullshit unless you're going for first place. What's the point otherwise? So from an outsider's point of view, I thought, yeah, I can see the plan now. It was messy at first couple of seasons, first season and a bit under Arteta. I thought, this is shambolic. They're going nowhere. He's no Pep. But then slowly you saw the hints, and now this season you're seeing all the fruits of it. Now, the difference is with us, you see the first season and you think, oh, yeah, he's changing the way, Ben Davies getting a tune out of him. Dyer's improved a little bit. Other players, Ben Davies swapping from fullback into central defence, for example. Good move. Some of the things he's done right, and it seemed to improve the team. But all I'm seeing since then is just gradual slide back down into playing worse. And the stats back it up. We got less points per game, less goals per game, conceding more per game, knocked out in humiliating fashion by Forest B team. Well, mind you, they got so many players, probably a C team. And we had a strong team that day. So it's not going together. And people say, back Conte, we're progressing. We're not progressing. Nothing backs that up at the moment.
No.
It's all well and good saying back Conte, but Conte's got to show you something to back. Yeah, and this is where football fans online need to wake up, right? Because that Lynn Simpson in the chat, saying, if I'd got my way, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. No, we might have won a title though. How do we know? We don't, do we? But this is where my standards haven't dropped. Everyone's caught up to my standards. So when people want to say I'm in the mud, I'm not in the mud. Everyone's just gotten the level that actually now it's time to compete. I was demanding competing last season and the season before and the one before and the one before, all the way back to when I was marching down Hornsey Road with a banner saying get them all out. When we won the league. So I haven't changed my stance on how this football club should act. And this is where fans, and your fans are like this as well. It's where your fans need to wake up a little bit because, just back it. Back it for what? What, for the sake of backing it to look like I'm a positive fan? Yeah, exactly. Respect and credit in the bank, are earned. Arteta got credit in the bank because he won an FA Cup. But an FA Cup didn't fool me because all the fans that were saying, but he's won the FA Cup were the same fans saying he inherited a mess. Well, which one was it then? Because he won with that mess, but then they're the reason we were the mess. Kind of made no sense to me. Listen, this season he's overachieved after 18 games. That bench stinks. Our bench stinks, mate. Right. For him to be 8 points clear after 18 games, fair play to him, fair play to the players. Now we've got to go and add to that bench. But when people want to sit there and say just back this, blindly back stuff, that's the whole reason you're 22 years down the line without ownership doing absolutely nothing because you're just blindly. Oh, he's got Harry Redknapp in. Oh, great, we've got good football. Oh, Poch, maybe get Poch back. Let's just blindly back whatever they do. The only thing they didn't blindly back was Nuno. Because they wanted him out quick, didn't they?
Absolutely. Look, I've got a couple of super chats and I want a question for both of you guys. First of all, James Mbappe, love the name, I said that you lot was going to get put in a spliff. Yeah, mate, listen, I think most Spurs fans, if they were honest to themselves, knew it as well. Wayne has said, a question for Lee. If you could sign 2 players in January to go on and win the league, who should Arsenal sign?
Good question.
Probably Messi. And realistically, I like Ivan Toney, man. I like Ivan Toney and Caicedo. Because if Thomas Partey gets injured, we are done out here. Honestly, he is unbelievable.
Tony's a good forward. He's an old-fashioned, proper centre forward that does the hard work, gets in the box, holds the ball up, good in the air, takes a penalty. Question, Lee, you think we can win the league now?
Mate, I've been saying it for months. We need players. If we get players, I think we can win it. I think if we don't sign anyone in this window and then we don't win the league, then they all need to leave, apart from maybe Arteta, who's well, listen, Arteta's part of the transfer committee. Let's not forget that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm sure that he's nagging them for players. But if we don't sign anyone, then all of them upstairs need to jog on.
Yeah,
Edu needs to jog on anyway. Yeah, this is the same Edu that went and got a free signing in Marquinhos and gave the club 3 million for a free signing. Why? Dodgy as hell, mate, that guy. I don't want him anywhere near Arsenal. Arteta, has shown after 18 games he can get a bench like that in a title race. Yeah, luckily we haven't need to use that bench so often, but in the back half of the season we are going to get injured players, Europa League games away and stuff like that, traveling every 3 days a game and all that back in March. So I feel we need at least 2 players, a striker stroke winger, which is why I'd sign Zaha, because like as much as I'd like Ivan Toney, Zaha can play left, right and centre, and then go and get somebody in midfield. Yeah, and if we do that, I think we can win it. Yeah, I've said that for months, mate. I think we can win it.
Yeah, and the fact is now you're in a position where with half the season to go, you've just got to not lose 3 more than City win. Do you know what I mean? They've got to win 3 more games than you. Last one, just quickly, and I'll back onto this. Phil P has said, Lee, who do I speak to about getting a loan to City? And Lee,
I'll put you in touch with my agent, mate, because I'm still on loan there as well. So either way, one of my teams is winning the league.
Guys, thank you for all the super chats, people. Lee, let me start with you and I'll come to Kuva. There's lots of talk about, Spurs and Conte religiously plays wing-backs, right? I don't care what people want to call it, 5-3-2, 5-2-3, 3-4-3. I don't care, right? Wing-backs. Is wing-backs outdated? And the reason I ask that is when you look around the world, I look at all the top teams in world football. Is there a single top team in world football that plays wing-backs?
Not that comes to mind. No.
Madrid
don't.
Munich
don't. Barca don't. Munich
Barca don't. Liverpool don't.
City
Man United don't. City don't.
We don't.
Right, that's the thing. Other than Inter Milan, who are not anywhere near top of the Serie A, now it's Napoli. I'm just wondering, why does he persist with this religiously when it's so specifically? And Kuva and I have talked about this a lot. So play this formation. You've got to have 2 brilliant wing backs that know the job that way and that way. And more important than that, you've got to have 3 centre halves that actually know how to bring the ball out, and 1 guy in the middle who's organising, like a Skriniar. You go over there. You go over there. We go together. We don't have any of that, but we play it religiously. Do you think that is
Chelsea do it
an
as
issue?
well, though. Chelsea do the same. Chelsea play with wing backs, and the thing is, I've always said if you play with 3 centre backs, that's because you don't rate any of them. Yeah, you don't rate them in a back 4. Yeah, like Man United under Ten Hag played a back 5 every now and again. Yeah, and under Ollie they played a back 5 every now and again. Very rarely, but they did. Yeah, but bro, when you've got centre backs that, like, you've got Eric Dyer, you play Ben Davies at centre back every now and again. Why? I don't get that. Yeah, Eric Dyer, Sanchez, you've got Romero, and you've got, who's the other guy you've got? There's another one. Whatever, I can't remember. Anyway, but none of them are any good. Like, Romero's all right, but Romero is a red card waiting to happen every game. Like, literally, every time I've watched Tottenham this season, I'm thinking, boy, how are you still on the pitch? Again, yesterday. Like, he could have been sent off. He could have been sent off every time I've watched him this season.
Yeah, agreed.
He loves being, he's clumsy, he's out of position. And Conte's not dumb. He knows that, which is why he will play with 2 next to him. Yeah, because he's then got Eric Dyer who can come around the back and save him. Yeah, or he's got Ben Davies that can come around the back and save them both. Yeah, or whoever, Davinson Sanchez next to him, whoever it may be. I've always felt that if you have a 3 at the back, it's because you don't trust any of them centre backs to be half decent.
I think I'd argue times when Conte had the likes of Bastoni, it made sense because Bastoni was not your regular centre back. He'd spend half of his time in the opponent's half of the pitch, progressing with the ball, making the initial tackles in their half. And that, in a way, you'd argue then, is he really a centre back? Because he was just like such a specialist sort of player,
more like a sweeper.
Yeah, if you like,
or a DM, just dropping in and getting the ball and going forwards. Yeah, it's true. But I also think tiki-taka football's dying as well. I think that's outdated. Yeah, because if you watch all these teams now, it's not really the Barcelona tiki-taka football anymore, is it really?
No, it's it's variations. There's bits of it, but it's played quicker
in the build up and then bang bang.
Right, yeah.
Whereas Barcelona would bang, 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 but you couldn't get anywhere near them.
My worry is
more inverted fullbacks, right? Dominate, suffocate the team on the edge of their box, press. It's like it's kind of gone away from all that. But then when you do see nice tiki-taka football, bro, it's just mad. I love watching that type of football. But I also like watching Simeone ball if it wins me a title.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, my issue is this. I look at managers like Conte now, and I think, can he mix it up? You know, we're seeing a lot of progressive managers now. Like, for example, I watched a really good, it's just a 15-minute video the other day about De Zerbi at Brighton. And it was how he goes about his tactics from his old club to here, and how the players move across the pitch and who fills in where and triangles. And it was really, really interesting. I then look at like Conte and I think it's so rigid and it relies on everyone. Look, basically for me, Lee, I look at the wing-back system and I think it absolutely stifles you in other areas of the pitch. You've got so many players back in defensive positions that I don't think it leaves for a lot of movement and a lot of creativity, i.e. now people are going, oh, well, you're going to buy Trossard. Great, okay. So in this formation, when Kane, Son and Kulusevski are fit, where are we sticking in Trossard? Right, you're not putting him in the middle too. So straight away, you've got nowhere where an attacking midfielder can come in. And I just find it very limiting as to what we can do with it.
Yeah, for me, it's we don't have to worry about what's a wing back, what's a right back, what's a full back. It's all about getting a quality player in who's got an ounce of intelligence about him, and he's technically good on the ball. I mean, if you got that, he can play any system you want to play.
Yeah, sure.
The fact is, we sign players that haven't got that. Emerson Royale, I'm not sure if he knows which sport he's playing. We got a transfer. Every transfer window, it's like a no-look transfer window. There's no. I just love it. 11 intelligent players, technically sound, with a will to win. You can bloody do something with a team
You've
like
just
that.
named Arsenal.
Yeah, there you go. It works, doesn't it? Simple.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think, Lee? Because look, one of the biggest criticisms, I think Coover's on the same page with me. This is, we go in, come rain nor shine, we go in with the wing backs against whatever team we play against. So, for example, yesterday we're sitting there before the game going, you cannot go in against that midfield three of Arsenal with two. You cannot leave Odegaard all that space.
Yeah.
He goes in with a two. Lo and behold, in that first half, I thought Odegaard, who, by the way, is my player of the season, I never thought I'd say that, but I think he's been exceptional. And he ran the game. Everything went through him. Our centre-backs didn't know whether to come out to him or sit off. And for me, I know people go, oh, he's a world-class manager, you're just a fan. But it seemed obviously that you don't go in with two against Arsenal.
When I saw your starting 11, I was howling.
I bet you were.
I can't lie. I was actually howling. I was like, you're not playing Perisic. Okay, cool. Well, cheers for that. Yeah. Because I expected him to play. Yeah, and then I see that you were playing with Sarr. I didn't know that Højbjerg was injured. I'm assuming he's injured. Not Højbjerg. What's his name?
Basuma. Oh, Bentancur was injured, but Basuma was on the bench.
Basuma on the bench. And now I see Sarr there. I'm like, okay, well, we're winning that battle today then. And I just see the two just sat there, and I thought, well, okay, you're playing with 2 10s really behind Kane. That ain't going to go down very well. Yeah, because Partey's just going to mop up. He's going to dominate. Yeah, Odegaard's going to have the freedom of White Hart Lane. Yeah, and then Saka's just going to have your left back Sessegnon on toast, which is what happened.
Jesus.
Yeah, the only side that you did all right was Martinelli's side. I thought he was poor, Martinelli. Yeah, I thought he had a bad game. Well, not a bad game, but he didn't have a good game by his standards. But you kept him kind of quiet. But every time Saka got the ball, or Odegaard got the ball, or Partey got the ball, you just couldn't get near any of them three.
For sure.
Saka, he's deceptively strong, man. Like, he's tiny, but bloody hell, he can hold a man off.
It's got kind of Raheem Sterling sort of style in that way.
The way he spins a man, when he's pinned in against him, the way he just rolls him because he's small, his low center of gravity, he's just gone. Yeah, and that first goal, I had to watch the replay to see what happened. I thought it hit the post and went out.
I didn't know. It felt like that goal. It felt like we were in slow motion. But you know what? As much as Lloris is taking blame for that goal, and so he should, I remember as he was going down the wing, I'm thinking to myself, why is Sessegnon 5 yards away from him? Do you remember when fullbacks used to be like, they were there? He was 5 yards away, and as the ball come in, I'm thinking, and then it goes in. Look, you guys compared to us at the moment, it's chalk and cheese. And I don't know how this changes.
This is where you need to decide what you want as a fan. As a fan base and as a club, because you've done the tried and tested Mourinho and Conte, you've done the Poch, you've done the Harry Redknapp, you've done AVB, you've done Nuno, you've done all these different styles and different types of managers. What is your identity? Where do you want to go? What do you want to be? Like, do you want to just be a team that qualifies for Champions League and don't win anything? Yeah. Oh, it's all right. We'll have a day out at Wembley in a semi or something. Or do you actually want to be a club that wants to compete? You know, if you want to do that, then Conte is probably not the man unless you're going to give him what he wants. Because as much as I rate Conte, you ain't giving him the players he wants.
Well, for me, it's easy, but I'm more demanding than most fans. I won't settle for just silverware, and I won't settle for just great football. We've got to have both. Winning style. And for me, everything about this club should be geared towards winning the league title. It's been 60 years. That's a joke. That's an absolute joke.
Long time. I mean, I guess it comes down to as well. Look, I'm of the opinion that for years I've beat this drum about all I care about is trophies. But I feel, Lee, that we're so far away from that now that my mindset has gone, all right, first step, let's just see some football. Like, I'm not talking tick-attack or I'm not talking gung-ho, but a manager that has a plan, gets them playing football, and it doesn't mean for the first 45 minutes of every bloody game that we've got 10 men behind the ball, letting them do what you did to us yesterday. Do you know what I mean? I just want to see a plan. That's all I want. And I don't think...
Do you also think that he's just... You know, when you're in a relationship with a girl or a boy or a unicorn, whatever it may be these days, right? You know when it's coming to an end, don't you? You can sense it. You have arguments here and there. You know, you're staying up late playing FIFA until 4 a.m. and she's in bed at 10. Like, you can tell it's coming to an end. I feel that's like it is with Conte in your club. He knows he's going to leave in 5 months when the season's finished.
Yeah.
His contract's done. Is that right? His contract's finished in the summer?
Yeah, his contract finishes what? Well, when's the last game, mate?
May. And Levy's not going to sack him because he's going to say, well, no, let's see what he does. Let's just leave him there, because if I give him a payout, I've got to at least make him earn his payout. So he's just going to keep him there. And it's almost like they're just going through the motions at the minute. Yeah, and the players are probably sensing that. Harry Kane was anonymous yesterday. I was shocked at how poor he was. But then again, he didn't get any service. Like, he didn't get no service.
He hasn't had service, Lee. He hasn't had service for about 3 years.
That's what
he creates.
This is the thing. In a North London derby, he would normally be the one that's getting everyone up for it. Yeah, you normally have that little fucker, Eric Dyer. I can't stand him. Like, I genuinely cannot stand that geezer. Right? And I remember when he shushed, I was at the game, the 4-2, and he was shushing and getting the bin. Yeah, I was right behind Aubameyang's goal that day as well. But him and Kane are normally the ones that are firing your team up. I didn't see any of that yesterday.
Yeah, it's gone.
Like, their heads were down. Like, Eric Dyer was trying to mouth off to the ref, and it was like, mate, you chopped him out. Like, get up, get on with it. Yeah,
so how much?
It's like they all know it's coming to an end.
Yeah, people were saying on the way into the ground the atmosphere was flat. It's like there was a resignation amongst the fans that not getting anything out of this.
That's crazy, because I've
how much of this
hours before kickoff you can fucking hear the chants, like, from both teams.
Yeah. How much of this, guys, do you think is? I mean, like you were saying there about Dyer and Kane not G'ing up anymore and looking lethargic, and how much of this is the players looking at the managerial situation, going, "Well, he's not here past the summer," like, and they've down tools again. Like, is there an element to that? I know it shouldn't be. I know they're paid very well, but it can't be right for them to not know what's going on, right?
The thing is, they're all in WhatsApp groups. They all have their little cliques and all that. They'll all be slagging off Conte or Enoch or like, they will. Let's be real. We know what footballers
of course.
Like, we know what we're like. Yeah, we could be in WhatsApp groups with people we don't like, and then we just text privately. Like,
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But that would be the same at any football club. These people are young men, most of them. Yeah, they're gonna be slagging off a lot of it. They're just a lot of them. a lot of them ain't even interested. Like, you got to ask yourself the question: how many of these footballers these days actually genuinely care about the club they play for?
Yeah,
not many. But that's now got to come down to the manager getting them to care, which Arteta's done this season. Yeah. Granit Xhaka's a totally different human being. Like, it's literally like, you've been here 7 years of absolute dross, and now this season you actually look like a footballer. And a top one at that. Yeah, but mate, the whole club from the outside looking in of Tottenham, it stinks, bro. It stinks. You've got an ownership.
I agree.
You guys don't even turn up to the country, sat on a yacht, feasting on your money. You've got Levy, who's sitting there, couldn't care less. He's just trying to sell out tickets for the next boxing fight or for the next concert. Yeah, like then you've got players that couldn't care less. You've got a manager who can't care less. He's leaving in 5 months. What does he care? He'll be at Atleti in 5 months. Like, when Simeone looks now, I'm going there, and if he don't, it'd be shocked. Maybe back to Inter. But
you know what I find funny in the same moment looking at your club, and I think you're now in your Pochettino phase, because you've got the great football there now. Stock belief coming across the fan base.
Yeah.
Now it's a test on the board of how much they're going to back you, get you over the line when you're in this position. And if you don't do it, I'm just going to be thinking, you know what? Arsenal, they're up there now, but we'll be ahead of them after a little bit. Then they'll fall down, and then we'll fall back down again. We'll just be competing over nothing in it until the owners are changed. That's what it feels like. So I'm kind of worried you're actually going to back Arteta and do something.
We've got money. We were going to go and waste 95 million euros on some idiot that like somebody put in my chat the other day. It's Dan James with longer legs, like literally Roadrunner. Like literally, like 95 million and 70 million of that was going to be guaranteed. So we've definitely got money, but it's now what we go and do with that money. And if we go out there and buy a couple of midfielders, or at least one midfielder and one winger stroke striker, we win the league, in my opinion. I can't remember the last time I have said we will win the league.
Yeah, it's getting to that stage as well. Where, as I said before, if you win 12 games, City have to win 15. And we're at that stage now. That leaves them
20 games left.
Right.
Two of them are against Man City. So as long as we do not lose both of them games, and even if we did, we're still top. That's the position we've put ourselves in. If they lose to you lot at the weekend, then listen, you're a bit of a thorn in their side. If you beat them,
not this team.
Listen, you beat them last season and then went and lost to Burnley. That is Tottenham.
Mate,
that is Tottenham in a nutshell, Savva. Yeah, you could lose to us embarrassingly, not even putting any fun. The geezer who kicked our player, as much as he's a knob, he showed more passion than your old team. Like, let's be real with it. Yeah, and listen,
if you're Man City, mate. If you're Man City, right, you've just lost 2 games in a row, and City don't do that. I mean, somebody will find a fact, but when was the last time anyone remembers City 2 on the bounce losing? If you're Pep, you're going, who do I want to play in my next game? I know, I want a home game versus Tottenham Hotspur. Well, Pep, you've got your wish, mate. You are playing Spurs on Thursday night. If Spurs win, I'll be absolutely staggered.
That's this Thursday.
That's this Thursday night, right? At the Etihad. Ooh. Now, in years gone by, like last year, Lee, what we were doing well, and which we're not doing this year, we were counter-attacking. So I could actually see the plan last year was, sit and soak it up, counter-attack. This year, it's like there's no counter-attacking. We're not lethal on the break. I don't know what we're doing. And if I was Man City, if I was Haaland, I'd be going, right, I've had a 4-game goal drought. I know where I'm going to score goals. I'll just lean on Eric Dyer and Ben Davis for 5 minutes. And I mean, Kuva, can you see in any which way in which we take points off of Man City?
I think it's a really important game. I'm really looking forward to it. I think we'll get a positive result because I've got Haaland and De Bruyne in my fantasy team. So triple captain there, and bish bash boss sorted. All right, Arsenal got the title at which won't have the title. They'll keep up Man City in the race. So no lose situation as far as I'm concerned, even though we lose.
So Arsenal need us to win it.
I'll
take a draw. I'll take a draw, mate.
Yeah, I just don't see it this time. That people who keep hanging on to, we're City's bogey team and things like that. but it's the same people saying, "Oh, we don't lose to Arsenal at home," and there were those of us before the game saying it's different this year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, we're just not up for it now. I don't see anything in this team makes me believe in it.
You watch all of a sudden, Coover, their attacking players will turn back into the Man City we know on Thursday night. I mean, can you imagine whoever they put up against Sessegnon on one side, even if it's Perisic because he can't defend, whoever they put up against that left wing back and either Royal or Doherty, they will be licking their lips.
Oh, here's a quick prediction for you. I think we could see Haaland get more goals in one match than Richarlison gets for the rest of the season.
I actually got a sneaky feeling, and this is not just because I want you to get points against them. I actually think you might get something.
Oh,
but I don't necessarily.
You've seen us play. You've seen us play. It's awful.
I've seen you play, but listen, I've Savva come. We're all old enough and watched football for long enough to know it don't work like that, man.
Yeah, I know.
Who would have thought that Man City lose 2 in a row? Like nobody.
No,
but
true.
At the same time, who would have thought City went and won 20 games on the spin a couple of seasons ago? Like, but it does look. I'll be honest. It's funny because the 2 clubs that have gone away from what they normally do, and they've got rid of a few players this summer just gone in the window, and gone out and bought strikers, are both dropping down the table and not looking great, are they? Liverpool and City. Liverpool got rid of Mane and bought that donkey up front, and they've fallen apart completely. Man City's gone and bought Haaland, and wouldn't it be funny if he went and broke all the records going in the Premier League and didn't win it?
They didn't win it, yeah. I mean, I suppose...
sorry, just quickly on that as well. If what happens that Lee's suggesting, we do go there and get a point, and we're still the bogey team for Man City, then back comes that Spursy tag again, doesn't it? Lose to our arch rivals to send them away at the top of the league, and then do them a favour in the space of a week.
Hoover, do you remember? Right, we looked before this. We said right once we get past the Palace and Portsmouth game. We said our next 4 games are Arsenal at home, City away, Fulham away, City at home. And I predicted 3 points. And even then, I think I was just being well too positive. I'm now going to change that. I think we're going to get 0 points. I even think Fulham will run all over us. They'll be up for it.
You're so negative. I think we might scrape a point against Fulham.
If you can't see what Conte is doing, mate, you can fuck off down the Emirates.
Honestly, I'm worried. This is the thing for me. I've said this for months now. I look at Brighton, I look at Brentford, I look at Fulham, and I think they're organised. They know what they're doing. They play for the manager. And then I look at us, and you think, let's be fair. If we're going to get anything from any of these games, it will be some individual brilliance from Harry Kane. It's not going to be well-worked team goals with 5 passes and a through ball, and I can't see where we're going to get a point from. I really can't, guys. Where will that leave Spurs in the table, lads? If we don't get a point from our next 4, well, including Arsenal yesterday,
we are already at a point where if Brighton win their game in hand, they're above us.
Right. And no one's going to tell me that Brighton were back to more than Conte was in the summer. Brighton in the summer lost it. What last year they lost.
You could potentially go down to maybe 10th in the next couple of games, 2 or 3 games. The next 3 games, you could be down in 10th, mate. With Unai Emery breathing down your neck. That is how quick it can turn.
What position does Spurs need to finish for people to admit that? I'm not saying admit now because he's in 5th. For people to say that Conte's been terrible this season. From 4th, where we were last year, where do we need to finish for fans to say, yeah, that was poor? Because it can't always be Enoch and Levy. There's got to be accountability.
I've got my my sneaky suspicion. What about if we qualify for the Conference League again?
Oh, don't. No, we don't want that.
It was just you played in that. Was it Mora?
Yeah, Mora. Yeah.
They had 11 fans at your stadium. I remember that.
Mate, yeah, it's going to be bad. It's going to be. I just look, as you said, I'm old now, Lee. Right? I think we're the same age, right? I'm literally at the stage where I admire the younger fans that have this optimism and this hope. And fans that come into my chat every week and they'll go, 3-1 this week, we're winning, Savva. And I go, I can't see a win. They'll go, you're so negative. But you get that feeling in your stomach. You know your own club, don't you? You know.
Especially after watching for so long. They've still got that exuberance and that energy. Right. Yeah, they've only grown up not seeing the team win anything. Like same with Arsenal fans that are younger than maybe 22, 23. They've never seen us win a league.
Yeah. Absolutely. I just feel like you know, like you said with the girlfriend analogy, you know when you're going down that road of all the clubs looking ropey, and I can't see how this situation with Conte and the board and Parati, I can't see how it all gets pulled back in to be a nice happy family. We're seeing that we bid 11 million yesterday. Is the talk from David Ornstein? He said that we bid 11 million for Trossard, which I think is an absolute slap in the face.
Yeah, that's
isn't it? Yeah. We won't pay the fee for
We'll just go and get him.
Right. Absolutely. I think that's the sort of player I think you lot should go for. I think a player like Trossard would be a wicked.
Right, the amount of money that we were going to waste on Mudryk, it was what? Let's say 100 million. 100 million, yeah? Roughly. I know that's with add-ons, yeah? Right, we could have gone and got Anderson, the centre back from Palace.
Yeah.
We could have swapped Rob Holding and give him 25 mil, for example. Yeah, there you go. Have Rob Holding and 25 mil. Right, they both wear number 16 as well, so he could keep his shirt number. Right, and then we could go and get Tillemans. He's out of contract in the summer. Hussein Aouar's out of contract in the summer. This fan base had their pants around their ankles for him a couple of seasons back. We could go and get Wilfried Zaha, and we could go and get Trossard. All of that, all in for 100 million.
Yeah.
If we had that, now you look at our bench with Smith Rowe and Vieira on it. Yeah, a couple of defenders with Tommy on there as well. Yeah, and Anderson on the bench as well. All of a sudden, we look like we're tasty for the next couple of seasons. Right. And now we don't have to do any shopping really in the summer.
And your players are a good age, right? You've got, unlike us, our best players, if you look at it, have been. Lloris is now completely declining. Son's 30. Kane's 29. Oh, sorry, the next birthday's 30 and 29 respectively. Not looking like the players they were. Højbjerg can't run. I think you guys are. I hate saying this, but you guys look like you've found that formula, and it works. I'm jealous. I don't know about you, Kuva. I am. I shouldn't say it, but I am jealous of what's going on down at the Emirates.
I'm totally jealous. You know what? I keep thinking. I've thought this many times. If it had been a different Sunday afternoon, Saturday afternoon, when I was playing football in the back garden with my dad, and I heard the cheer go up. If it had come from Highbury, I could have had a much better life for the last time.
Guys, we're going to go for five more minutes. So, anyone got any questions? Get it in for the panel.
Yeah, man. I've got about 3 hours more streaming after this as well.
Oh, God, yeah. I'm on with Rance at 5:30, and every single time he starts the show, he goes, "So Spurs lost again." I'm like, "Yeah, go, brilliant." And everyone,
if you beat Man City, you would only be 3 points behind them.
Yeah, we just get
Fanbase coming out.
Oh, come on. Be fair. We just need to go on another one of our legendary 2 winning streaks from earlier in the season.
Hang on.
There you go. City and Fulham, mate. Make a stand.
Hang on. Let's have a look at this. So, look, guys, 5 more minutes. So get any questions in. I'm just going to bring up the Premier League table, right? Let's have a look.
Oh, hang on. I was just going to say as well, just a little message I saw earlier today. One of our fans saying we just need 2 or 3 signings to win the Champions League this season.
We don't learn. The same fans, Kuva, that have said we're 2 signings away from challenging for the title. I don't know unless it's Messi and Van Dijk. I don't know what's.
They're not saving us.
Right. Let's have a look. So here's the Premier League table, guys. At the moment, if you looked on the face value, Lee, you'd go, all right, we're nestled in 5th. It's not the end of the world. But in 3 games' time, if we have not picked up a single point, all of it, no one's going to tell me that Fulham, Brighton, Brentford, Liverpool, and Chelsea are all not going to pick up any points out of their next 9. We could be here. I don't know if you can see my. Can you see my?
Genuinely go down to about 10th in the next 3 games.
Right. I mean, I know these two have got to play each other next, I think, so that helps. But I genuinely can't see a point from the next 3 games. That will be 4 defeats in a row. My question to you guys is, if that happens, if we do lose both City games, Arsenal and Fulham away, has Conte got to get sacked? Whatever we think of him, that's not sustainable. You can't do that, can you?
Mate, you ain't sacking him. You are not sacking him.
Do you not think?
Levy won't sack him because he knows he's not going to get anybody.
Yeah.
The fans.
So what do you do? Who do you put in charge? Like, if you sack him with 4 months left of the season, who are you putting in charge for 4 months?
The only way he sacks him is if Conte explodes in public and says he's had it. But then it's more a case of Conte walking at that point.
Yeah, and then he won't do that because he won't get his little kickback, his little payoff.
But I mean, I'm all for explosive. I'm all for explosive meltdown here at the moment. So
he should
sack and get Ryan Mason in.
He's a feisty Italian, right? And he left Inter Milan for a reason, because they wanted to sell his best players and not back him. Yeah. And he said, bollocks to this. Yeah, I've just won you a league first time in a decade. Yeah, see you later. If he's got any balls about him, then he should be exposing everyone. Yeah, he should be just sitting there saying, well, I wanted this player, I didn't get him. I asked for this player, they told me there was no money. And he's kind of done that a little bit. Like, the club are trying to look for young profile players. Well, he's basically saying, well, that ain't my cup of tea. You know how I work, and they're offering me this. But he ain't going to leave. He ain't getting sacked. I think he's just going to see it out and walk off to Spain.
I think that was the hope, though, Lee. I think that's been the hope for a lot of fans, especially me and Kuva. The hope has been, don't walk away when your contract runs out, because it's not as impactful. And it's during the summer when there's no games or nothing can be done, and the club can do their PR spin, that big PR machine. If he was to leave February the 1st, when the window shuts, and go, I've not been backed, I can't do anything here, how? Like, that is how that sets it up. Guys, this question to finish it off. Korma has said, my favourite thing from a curry house, by the way, has said, question for everyone. Yeah, I can't eat spice. Who's going to be the final top 4?
Ooh. I'll change my mind every week on this. I'm going to stick with the 4 that are there. But I might change my mind next week.
Yeah, I'm saying that as well. Earlier, just a few weeks ago, when Newcastle played at the Emirates, I remember saying then at the time, you know what? If Newcastle win there, I'm not ruling them out of winning the title this season, because they just do not lose games.
No, us and them have lost 1 game. That's crazy, man. 1 game. Their points haul since Eddie Howe's been there has been ridiculous.
Oh, superb.
Yeah, I think United are on a roll now. We're never catching them. If we're not catching them, I don't think Liverpool and Chelsea.
They've got us on Sunday. We'll give you a little chance, mate, because we'll beat them. Beat them.
I've just got this feeling, and I know everyone's going to call me mad, right? Everyone's going to call me mad. I just feel that one of Liverpool or Chelsea will do something in the second half of the season, and one of them will scrape in there. I don't know why. I just feel like they will. I've got nothing to base that on. Nothing.
Out of the 2, it's got to be Liverpool, surely.
I believe so. The reason is, I look at both of those clubs, and they've both got like 11 first-team injuries. And what makes me laugh about that is, I look at, let's be fair, guys, both of our clubs are pretty similar in that respect. Imagine we had 11 first-team players out injured.
Oh, mate, we'd be down the bottom.
Right.
Our bench is shit.
Right. They showed yesterday, Chelsea. Hang on, here we go. Look at this for Chelsea. And I was trying to explain this to Rance last week. He was having none of it. If you look at this Chelsea team that won yesterday, right? These are the players, right? Listen to this. They could have put this 11 out of players that didn't play. So they could have put Mendy in goal, right? Ben Chilwell left back, Reece James right back, Fofana, Fofana centre back. We're playing a 3. Then they could have had a midfield of Pulisic, Sterling, Zakaria, Kante with Felix and Broja. I mean, can you imagine having? I'm not saying they're all amazing, but can you imagine Spurs, Kuva? Like when we talk about Chilwell, Reece James, João Felix, Kante, Zakaria, Sterling. Can you imagine us having Kane, Son, Kulusevski, Bentancur, Romero, all out at the same time. That is why I think one of those, bearing in mind they're only 5 points behind us.
Oh, come on, Savva. We got Brian Hill.
You got Sessignon, mate. Don't worry.
Cecil come to the rescue.
Yeah, you got Sessignon. You got Chicken Royale. Like, what more do you want? Like, you're not spoiled. You're not spoiled. How negative? How can you be so negative? Look what you're
so entitled.
My bad. Guys, listen, I am going to leave it there. But look, Lee, thanks so much for coming on and giving us some insight. Always welcome on. Kuva, strap in for Thursday night, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine if we win? I'm going to get so many people coming to my comments.
I can't.
No, I just can't. Oh my God.
The first scoreline I've got in my head is 4-0, and it goes upwards from there.
I can't see anything but a convincing win.
We always do firsts at this club, don't we? Somebody said it in the chat. First for the wrong reasons. Conte, as his side, conceded the first goal for 10 games in a row. Never done that before in his career. Mourinho doesn't win a trophy at a club for the first time in his career. Conte does not get
5 days before the final.
Conte does not get spanked 5-0, but he's at Spurs. It's happening at some point.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Listen, going to leave it there. Lee, when are Arsenal next playing? Who's your game?
Sunday, Man United at the Emirates.
Big game. That
week off. I think they're playing. I think they might have a game. I think they've got a game maybe this week. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Who's that? Sorry,
Man United. Have they got a game this week?
Fixtures this week. What's the date? The 16th. Yes. So Wednesday night, United are at Palace.
Oh, Palace. Well, there you go. Yeah, we're beating them on Sunday then.
And then
we're beating them Sunday. They'll be knackered by the time they play, unless they put a reserve team out.
And then you've got the 12:30 kickoff on Saturday. Is Liverpool at home to Chelsea? Ooh. That's a humdinger.
That's a mid-table battle. Who would have thought that at the start of the
battle
season?
for 8th.
The battle to stay out of the Conference League.
Conference League, yeah.
That's begun right now. Trust me. All of your clubs, you lot are above it, but they're going, oh, we don't really want to be in there. Yeah, so we got to try and stay above it or capitulate. And Liverpool and Chelsea go, well, we don't really want to be in there. So either we stay down there or we get on a run.
Yeah. and then the teams around us, Kuva, you've got Brighton are away at Leicester, who are not the greatest at the moment. You've got Brentford away at Leeds. You never know what you're going to get from Leeds. And then Fulham are playing us. So by the time we play Fulham, they'll have, is that 2 games in hand on us? Or is that Brighton who've got
Brighton have got game in hand at the moment. So
Brighton have. Okay. Yeah. Brighton have at the moment. Oh, mate. So basically, if we lose to City and then Fulham beat us at the weekend, Fulham leapfrog us, Brighton leapfrog us. Guys, this is going to be an interesting weekend of football. Anyway, listen, I must go. Thanks so much, everyone. I'll catch you all later. As always, Enoch and Levy out. And see you soon. Take care.
Up the Arsenal.
Come on, you.